Earlier this year, we announced 4 of our targets, our top 4 targets across the country, one of those being Senator Ben Nelson in Nebraska. And so we are here today to endorse a candidate to replace Senator Ben Nelson. Why have we targeted him? Because he is one of the worst offenders that is promoting the Obama-Reid agenda. Very much a liberal, and something that Tea Party activists across the country are working to defeat. We want to replace him with a candidate that has high integrity and is going to work as a legislature for we the people and not me, myself, and I.
And in Nebraska, we found all 3 of those traits in Jon Bruning, who we're very proud to make our first endorsement for the 2012 election. He's absolutely solid on the economic issues. He's demonstrated time and time again, from the days when he was in the state legislature to today as the Attorney General, he's willing to make tough decisions, take tough stands, do the right thing. And third, he's impressed us with it, not only in this race, but in his past race, that he's been able to attract competent, capable people to put the elements of a campaign together. So he meets our criteria better than any other candidate in Nebraska. We focused on Nebraska, as Amy said, because Ben Nelson somewhat became the symbol of dysfunction in Washington, of willing to trade and deal for something that the people of Nebraska didn't want to do. So that makes Nebraska #1 on our list, and Jon Bruning our #1 target for the 2012 election.
Well, I want to thank Amy, and I want to thank Sal for the endorsement of Tea Party Express. I am proud to accept your endorsement. I'm running because we have a problem here in Washington. The debt and the deficit are out of control. And my goal as a member of the United States Senate is to help reduce the debt and the deficit, get our financial situation under control. For the next biennium, we're going to bring in $2 billion and spend $3 trillion, and we're going to spend $3.5 trillion. Absolutely ridiculous and unsustainable. And so we need people here in Washington with the courage to make this change, to begin to cut the debt and the deficit. And I haven't been afraid to do it. As a member of the state legislature back in the 90s, I wasn't afraid to vote against tax increases. I didn't go along to get along. If the people of Nebraska send me to Washington, D.C. as their United States Senator, I'm not going to go along to get along here either. The tough decisions have to be made, and I'm willing to make those tough decisions. And one of the things that's been fantastic about the Tea Party and the political discourse in the United States over the last few years is the Tea Party has demanded of its elected leaders that those elected leaders be true to the premise that we can only spend what we take in. The answer is not more taxes, the answer is less spending. And so I am absolutely proud to stand with my friends from the Tea Party Express as we move forward in this campaign. Nebraskans expect a government that balances its budget. We do it at the state level, we can do it at the federal level. And it's not just a spending issue when it comes to new programs. It's an issue when it comes to regulation. As Attorney General of the state of Nebraska, I have sued the federal government time and time again. It's hard to count, but probably more than any Attorney General in the country. I've filed lawsuits against the EPA and many other federal agencies. The federal regulatory overreach is also unsustainable. So people in Nebraska send me to Washington, D.C. It's going to be to start reducing the size and scope of this government. Ben and I have a different philosophy of how Washington, D.C. should work. I would have voted against Obamacare. I would have voted against stimulus and TARP. I'll vote against cap and trade. And he's been supportive of each of those things because he thinks they're right for the country. I think they're wrong for the country. So, I'm very confident in the end that my friends in the Tea Party in Nebraska are going to be supportive of my candidacy, both in the primary and in the general. The reality is earmarks are an unsustainable process within the Senate and within Congress. It's just, as we get control of federal spending, earmarks need to fall by the wayside. And you've just seen the Republican conference in the Senate not very long ago say enough's enough on earmarks. It's not necessarily the earmarks that any one member brings in are so horrible. It's that once you accept the earmarks for your state, you have to accept everybody's earmarks. There's a tacit agreement. So Senator Nelson could say, my earmarks are pure as the driven snow. And maybe they're all excellent ideas. I don't know what he's requested. But once you accept yours, you have to accept Jack Murtha's or Cunningham's and used to be in California. Once Senator Nelson accepts his, he accepts everybody's. And that's when the system breaks down. So I will not accept earmarks as a member of the United States Senate. I won't request them. I think they're a terrible idea. I think we need to get spending under control. And I'll work to do that.